Several days ago, WWE announced the WWE United Kingdom Championship Tournament. This will be a 16-man tournament happening on January the 14th and 15th, 2017 at the Empress Ballroom in Blackpool. This is quite a little bit of a surprising announcement. It's obvious that WWE are very, very interested right now in signing independent wrestling talent. We saw recently the Cruiserweight Classic. There are strong reports, indications, and I believe it will happen, that we will have a women's tournament, a female tournament, whatever we want to call it, some point next year, probably around the summertime. But I do firmly believe that that is actually going ahead so far. Hopefully it will. And this WWE United Kingdom Championship Tournament is another opportunity, which is actually a great opportunity for UK talent to get themselves noticed and perhaps even signed by WWE. Whether this championship would be an actual ongoing championship in the company, I really don't know at this stage. We didn't think anything would come out of the Cruiserweight Classic. They now have a Cruiserweight Championship held, at least so far as I know, by Rich Swann. Would this be an ongoing championship? It is to be honest, it's too difficult and too early to say right now. This will also be broadcast on the WWE Network. Now, personally, I would actually like to see it go live on the WWE Network. With the way the WWE Network works, I don't think it would be too much of a stretch to see this 2-day tournament be broadcast on there live. Having checked the calendar, I believe it's a Saturday and a Sunday, so it's a weekend tournament. So that would kind of make it easy for a lot. WWE has a lot of young fans. In the US, it would be asking them to watch it, but with the time difference, I don't think it would be too much of a difficult thing. And we rarely in the UK ever get an event where we can watch it at a decent time. So the way that the WWE Network works with the live streaming, which they could obviously repeat, that day's show would be the first or second day, they could easily repeat it, and with it pretty much immediately going on to the on-demand section of WWE Network, I honestly feel that any time difference, any time worries for the US or any other place in the world, I honestly don't think that there is any cause for concern. So I would like to see it being broadcast live. Surely, come on, WWE, give us please a reason to watch, an ability to watch an event at a decent time in here in the UK. The WWE Network is a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week thing. So with the on-demand, with the live streaming, with the repeating of the event possible on the WWE Network, I hope that we get to see this live rather than maybe recorded over the 2 days and then maybe a few weeks later on the WWE Network. I looked and I don't really see any information whether it will be live on the WWE Network, but I really hope so. The participants in the tournament, they're representatives from England, Ireland and Scotland. No Welsh participant there that I can see on the Wikipedia page. 16 men in the tournament are Tiger Ali, Joseph Connors, Jordan Devlin, Pete Dunne, H.C. Dyer, James Drake, Sam Gradwell, Saxon Huxley, Roy Johnson, Dan Maloney, Ringo Ryan, Jack Stars, Trent Severn, Tucker, Tyler Bate, Chris Tyler, Tyson T-Bone and Wolfgang. Now, several of these guys I do recognise the name of. I admit I don't know them all. Tiger Ali, I've heard of. Joseph Connors, has done great things I think at Preston and What Culture. Pete Dunne I've heard of. A few others like Jack Stars. Obviously Wolfgang and Trent Seven had a good steel cage match at ICW's Fear and Loathing event in last month in Glasgow at the Hydro. Wolfgang is actually currently the ICW Insane Championship Wrestling World Heavyweight Champion, successfully defending the championship a couple of days ago in Italy. So there's some real names there. They haven't seemingly, to my opinion, gone for the biggest names in UK wrestling, the likes of Joe Hendry's. Maybe that's a deliberate thing on WWE's doing, or maybe it's down to availability. I'm not entirely sure, but a decent selection of guys there. Hopefully, it'll be some good wrestling on the show. UK wrestling right now is doing really well, which are obviously, again, that's something that some people have been arguing about since this championship tournament was announced. And people will always have their difference of opinions. Some people saying, "Oh, this WWE trying to come in and say we're still the big guys in the UK." We may be based in the US, we may have our shows in the US, but we're still where everybody wants to go to. And some people have been saying that no, in fact, this is WWE trying to say, trying to recognise how good the UK wrestling scene has been over the last few years, and saying, let's give some of these guys a chance, let's see how they'll do, and let's give them a showcase to show off what they can actually do, show how good the UK wrestling scene is. So that is obviously going to be something that people will argue about up to and even after this tournament happens. One of the surprising aspects of this tournament for me was the inclusion of Nigel McGuinness as colour commentator. I've been a fan of Nigel McGuinness for many years, obviously a former wrestler himself, retired around about 2011, and I always recommend his documentary Last of McGuinness. It's one of the best wrestling documentaries I've seen about how he never made it to WWE, the reasons why. It's about his retirement tour that he did, and he's been doing some great things since. He's been working as an editor on various programs in Los Angeles. He's actually just a few months ago now, he started a podcast which is really entertaining called My Unconventional Life. It's a very unusual podcast. It's not a wrestling podcast. It's more about his life and his life dreams, his life's ambitions, wanting to be a parent, about looking for relationships and looking at his life. He has interviewed a couple of wrestlers like Matt Sydal, but it's a really good podcast, and hopefully in the coming weeks he may talk about this opportunity, because it's quite ironic. He works so hard, almost makes it to WWE. Just a doctor, one doctor not being happy with how his injury was treated and healed, that prevented him being signed by WWE. So he moved on. Like I said, becoming an editor, works for Ring of Honor until recently, and apparently some reports saying that he has heat with them for not giving much notice. I don't know whether that be true or not. Hopefully they would be very supportive of him, right, to be honest. My opinion, I hope that they are, Ring of Honor, actually supportive of him. Yeah, of course, he's been a big name in Ring of Honor. He works extremely hard. Of course, they've always known that his dream was to be in WWE. That's kind of why some of these independent companies work, because guys work, get well known, get noticed, then go off to WWE, which gives other guys not only inspiration to see those guys like Nigel McGuinness, work their way to WWE, and say, you know what, he's Ring of Honor's guy, I want to be the guy in Ring of Honor. And when and they maybe take the opportunity to try and be the Ring of Honor's main guy. Once the likes of Nigel McGuinness goes to the likes of WWE, but he's worked really hard behind the scenes as well, and it really is such, I think, fantastic that he finally gets his opportunity to work with WWE. Whether it leads to anything permanent, I'm again, just like whether it be an ongoing championship, it's too early to tell. I'm really not sure. I'm hoping it'll work out for him. He really deserves a chance, and I'm glad he's getting this chance. I see Nigel's role in this to be very similar to Daniel Bryan's. Daniel Bryan, although Mauro Ranallo knows his wrestling inside and out, Daniel Bryan was there as the colour commentator to do what a colour commentator should do, to kind of bring spit and polish. The commentator brings the basics, but the colour commentator, lets the fans know a little bit of background, in case they don't know the situation, the wrestlers, and to get a little bit of polish, a little bit of what the name of their position is, a bit of colour to the match, a bit of, and I don't mean bleeding, I mean a bit of background, a bit of information to try and get the fans interested in, okay, these two guys fighting, but why are they fighting? And hopefully, and I'm sure Nigel will be able to do that. Nigel will be able to, to bring in his knowledge, his experience. I don't know how much he's kept up with the UK wrestling scene these last few years, but he'll be able to do that, definitely. He will certainly be able to, bring a bit of background, maybe even tell American fans and fans, watching around the world, perhaps even a little bit of background about the UK and about the UK wrestling scene. So I'm actually really looking forward to hearing Nigel. Jim Ross, on a recent podcast, it was the episode with Lance Storm and Don Callis, Cyrus in WWE and ECW, said that he thought Nigel McGuinness had a promo voice, that it was okay for a few minutes but wasn't sure, and this was that episode was recorded and actually released on iTunes. Of course, it's the Ross Report, Jim Ross's great podcast. That episode was made before and released before this announcement of the UK Championship Tournament. But Jim Ross said he thought Nigel McGuinness had more of a promo voice for a few minutes, and he was unsure of how Nigel would do for around about 2 hours as a commentator. I think Nigel will do very well. I enjoy listening to his podcast. I've been a fan of his for many years. Again, Last McGuinness, definitely recommend it. I think Nigel will do well. Hopefully, he has a bit of a UK accent, bit of an English accent going on, but people seem to understand that more than a Scottish accent. So even I think Nigel will do very well. I think he'll do very well. I don't think he won't be talking in a lot of sound bites, but I think he's done some commentary, I believe, on Ring of Honor previously. I think he will do well in that job, and I'm glad he's getting the opportunity. Just when he thinks he will never ever work for WWE, maybe they'll bring him in for eventually maybe to talk about the business on maybe in a future future WWE DVD or network documentary. He gets an opportunity again. Whether it be lead to anything permanent, I don't know. I very much hope so. Michael did say he'd be starting his broadcast career, so maybe they've signed him to a long contract, but Nigel McGuinness being involved in this is good. So anybody who's unsure about Nigel McGuinness, I should give him there is WWE centric fans. There is fans that only watch WWE that may have heard of Nigel McGuinness, may have seen him as Desmond Wolfe in TNA and not too enamored with him, and may not really know much about him. I should give him a chance if you don't know him. He does know his stuff, and maybe talk him up a little bit. Maybe I don't want to be putting the pressure on him, but he knows his stuff and he'll do very well, I think, as a colour commentator. So this championship tournament, WWE United Kingdom Championship Tournament, I'm looking forward to it. Hopefully it'll be a good 2 days of a couple of good shows. They are opening it to fans, the other tickets. Obviously I'm not going to make it down all the way to Blackpool, but I look forward to this. I think it's a great opportunity for some of the UK fans to get noticed, and for the UK to really show that we have some great wrestling going on, and hopefully with likes of William Regal and Robbie Brookside, and even Johnny Saint on temporary assignment to WWE Performance Center, hopefully maybe they'll actually acknowledge some UK wrestling history at some point as well. I think that absolutely something they should do, is to at least at one point acknowledge the great history of wrestling in the UK. But I'm looking forward to January 14th and 15th for the WWE United Kingdom Championship Tournament.